Okay, so today's Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025, and this is the kind of day we all love to see. Bitfarms up nearly 20% in a single trading session and closing with a bid price higher, if I'm not mistaken, than $1 a share. Now, does that mean that the reverse stock split or share consolidation, as it has been referred to, is off the table? No, it doesn't. It does, however, mean that to the extent the board of directors of Bitfarms, really from a strategic perspective, wanted this tool to be in place simply as a means to keep shares of Bitfarms trading on NASDAQ, well, that's not going to be a concern, at least at this point, right? I'd have to double check the dates, but I think that Bitfarms achieved this milestone, right, of closing above $1 a share within the 30 trading day period of time. That would thereby mean that the stock's okay, right? It's only once you trade under $1 a share for 30 consecutive trading days, if I'm not mistaken, that would then trigger a letter from NASDAQ. Then essentially you could get 180 days through which to have the share price correct itself. But the caveat is the stock has to then close above $1 a share for 10 consecutive trading days in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So that creates then a bit more of a hurdle, simply because, hey, it's one thing to close above $1 a share on a trading day like today, but then what if you close a little bit below $1 a share tomorrow? Then you're back to square one, and it becomes problematic. Again, this is something that Stronghold Digital Mining went through, and it's not a very fun experience. So I'm cautiously optimistic that to the extent the board of directors of Bitfarms simply wanted this tool, right, of a reverse stock split to be in the toolbox as a means to keep shares of Bitfarms trading on NASDAQ, well, then there's no need to necessarily reach for this tool given what took place today. Assuming, of course, that shares of Bitfarms are going to participate in a meaningful manner in what I believe could very well be a meaningful bull run in the price of Bitcoin, and more importantly, a bull run in hash prices. I took a quick look. Hash prices were at about 5.8 cents, or roughly, let's call it $58 a petahash. That's not bad. That's pretty decent. I'm not saying it's phenomenal, okay? It's not. But it's not bad, right? I mean, it could be a lot worse. I've seen it a lot worse. We've all seen it a lot worse. So listen, this is exciting, right? Up 20% in a day. Hey man, you and I both know that this could be up 200% this quarter, if not more, right? We're talking about a stock that got beat into oblivion by the market, all right? I mean, beaten down into oblivion. I think I picked up shares at one point under 70 cents a share. That struck me as like nuts. Did I miss something? Did I misread one of the filings? Is this a company that actually has almost something like 18, 19 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity? Right? Did I misread that? Because the way that stock's been trading, you would think, hey man, yeah, this is a company that basically just started 6 months ago. They've got nothing. They put in an order for Bitcoin mining machines that they're going to get in another 10 months, maybe once this bull runs over, right? It's like the stock price wasn't really performing in a manner that made sense to me. Now, listen, I don't want to jinx anything, okay? But this is the kind of momentum that we're looking for, right? We need to see the stock move the way that it moved today. Hey, if it could go up 20% a week for the next 10 weeks, I think we're going to be really happy with the result. And truthfully, that's not even, I'm keeping it real here. The stock got so beat down, I think it could easily be back at $3 a share. But again, look at what the market giveth, the market can taketh away, right? All you need is one geopolitical event to spook the hell out of Bitcoin, and suddenly it drops back down to like 99,000 a coin, and shares of Bitfarms, along with the entire Bitcoin mining ecosystem, gets flushed down the toilet again. Suddenly we're back down to like 80 cents a share, right? So I'm aware of that, right? I think we all need to be aware of that. Hey, if there's an issue with, some sort of financial crisis that begins to develop in the United States, right? Because of what I think by any reasonable, analysis, that would conclude, hey man, this country has a lot of fiscal problems, right? And it's unclear if, some of the legislation that's, weaving its way through the legislative branch of, the United States government. Hey, is that legislation going to actually address some of these, fiscal maladies, right? Or is it going to just kind of like make them worse, right? And so I know that's kind of divisive and a little bit of a debate there, but at the end of the day, right? Like, hey, the reality is going to be whether or not, like, financial markets, specifically Bitcoin, right? Hey, are they going to perform well, regardless of what happens with the U.S. fiscal, situation? Or is Bitcoin going to be highly sensitive for there to be a need for interest rates to drop, right? Again, I'm not going to get into the whole tech stock analogy, but let's kind of keep it real. I don't know that it's fair or appropriate or even accurate to describe Bitcoin as being something like digital gold. Right? It doesn't seem to act the way gold seems to act, right? There seems to be a bit of a divergence in some ways, right? With the performance of gold and the performance of Bitcoin when certain geopolitical events take place, right? That hasn't been lost upon me. I'm sure it hasn't been lost upon you. But the point of the matter is, if you look back far enough, go back 5 years, 10 years, right? Hey, Bitcoin has really, really performed super well. Where I think now at the second half of 2025, this is the time where if there's going to be a meaningful, sustained, like truly awe-inspiring run in the price of Bitcoin and in hash prices, this is the time for that to happen. And if that happens, if it materializes, we are going to see, even if Bitfarms doesn't freaking do anything with HPC AI, right? Even if nothing materializes of it, they say, hey, you know what, guys? It's a pile of wooded, sort of like farmland of sorts, right? We're not going to do anything with it after all. We spoke to our consultants again. HPC AI is not going to work out here. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but let's just kind of, let's say worst case scenario, right? Hey, man, it's not going to work out. Bitcoin, right? Their Bitcoin mining operations, I think, have the potential to be a huge catalyst for the stock right now in 2025, if we see the price of Bitcoin really perform well. Okay. Hey, is this going to be the beginning of a super cycle? If, a couple people say to me, hey man, like, do you think this is it? Is this the moment where Bitcoin will just keep going up quarter over quarter over quarter over quarter indefinitely? Is this going to be the beginning of a super cycle where there's suddenly mass adoption? Everybody's got a Bitcoin, right? Everyone, every government, every institution, every school district, every business on planet Earth, every human on planet Earth is going to want a piece of Bitcoin. Is this going to be the beginning of a super cycle of that nature? I don't think so. Hey, I'd love to be proven wrong. I mean, trust me, I'd love to be proven wrong and have Bitcoin just gallop into the moon, you know what I mean? Up into the moonlight. What was it that our friend and thought leader, Mr. Michael Saylor, what has he predicted? I've heard numbers like 21 million a coin, 50 million a coin, who knows, a billion a coin. Whatever number you want to insert into that blank, right? That says, hey, this is where I think the price of Bitcoin can go. Whatever number you want to insert in there, the real question that we need to assess, right, specifically through the prism of saying, hey, I've got shares of Bitfarms, or I've got shares of CleanSpark, or maybe I'm invested in TerraWolf, right, or Cypher, or Riot, or any of the other names out there, right, that are involved in the Bitcoin mining ecosystem. The real question we've got to ask is like, okay, when is that going to happen, right? Is it in 10 months, 10 weeks, 10 years, 100 years, right? So from my perspective, I'm not really looking at a super cycle. From my perspective, we could very well see the price of Bitcoin correct pretty significantly. We've seen that happen just in the past 6 months for reasons that I think are debatable. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's debatable as to whether or not Bitcoin had to go down because of military tensions in a certain part of the world. It's not clear to me. Objectively, logically, it's not clear to me that the price of Bitcoin had to react negatively to those types of events, right? So, given the fact it did react negatively to those events, why am I going to suddenly believe that there's going to be a super cycle that propels the price of Bitcoin inside a fairly short period of time? And by that, I mean, let's say the next 12 months from where we're at now to like $1 million+ a coin. That seems a bit far-fetched, but I'd love to be proven wrong, as I'm sure you would as well if, right? hey, you were also thinking to yourself, yeah, man, I don't know about that super cycle. So listen, right now, the focus is on Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin. The higher it goes, the higher Bitcoin mining stocks are going to go. Forget about hash prices. No, we talk about hash prices because we know better, right? We know that Bitcoin mining economics are driven by hash prices. Most of the world, they don't know what the hash prices are. They don't give a crap, right? All that matters is the price of Bitcoin. Hey, the price of Bitcoin is going up. Hey, Bitcoin mining stocks, shit, they make this stuff. We're going to buy some of those shares. That's the simple logic that seems to exist in the market. And hey, we today are the recipients of that logic because Bitcoin was up a bit, maybe like 3%. We were up like 20%. And I think that there are going to be forces out there, right? There are going to be, I think, algorithms out there that might see through some of the noise, see through some of the BS, and realize, hey, wait a minute, Bitfarms got bid down way too low. This thing's got to come back up, right? So I think this could be the moment where we really begin to see the price of Bitfarms shares move demonstrably higher in the days and weeks ahead. At least that is what I'm cautiously optimistic about. Okay, my friend, if you are brand new to this broadcast, kindly do me a favor. Like and subscribe to this channel. We talk a lot about Bitcoin. We talk a lot about Bitfarms. We talk a lot about the Bitcoin mining ecosystem, as well as markets generally, but with a real focus on Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining companies, and specifically Bitfarms. Okay, let's stay positive. Let's be great. And we will see each other again very, very soon.